Welcome to Active Love Adoptions podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Griffith, and this is my co-host, Heidi.
Hello.
And these are my good friends, Nate and Aton. And it was like 7 years ago, right?
6.
Well, but she's almost 7.
She just turned 6. But I guess we started the process 7 years ago.
Okay. She's like in her 7th year.
Yeah, sure.
So like that first year.
We'll give you that. She's been 2 months.
I know. Cody turned like 6 the week before her. I still remember. So this is a kind of funny story. I was pregnant with our last, and Afton had texted me like, hey, can we bring you guys dinner like when you get home from the hospital? And I was like, sure. And we kind of set up a date. And then she texted me. She's like, so dinner's not going to work out because we just got a baby. And so I don't know what I'm doing. And I just like can't. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Our kids will be like so close together. I had him on the 11th and she was born
The 25th.
Yeah. So it just was like
2 weeks.
No.
2 weeks difference. And like she's so fun. I can't even handle it. Okay, so tell us the process that you guys went through before you ended up at Active Love. I mean, because I know you guys
led you to adoption, basically. Like
yeah.
Infertility or how you came up.
Yeah, infertility.
Okay. Yeah.
So you guys had done in vitro?
In vitro and IUIs.
IUIs. Okay. So then you started the process. So how long was the process when you guys, and how did you find Active Love? Like, did you Google it? Did you have a suggestion from a friend?
So we had a miscarriage in 2008 and then tried. And so we kind of started the infertility process, kind of getting help in 2010 and just kind of started simple and basic and worked our ways up and just nothing was working. We kept getting more expensive and deeper in the process and just kind of started to realize like, hey, this isn't going to happen. Maybe we can't get pregnant. So we started with, you found Active Love. I don't know how you found it.
Yeah, I think just
Like some seminar or something. You went to something.
at Active Love.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to like an orientation.
We started that in 2017. Kind of started that process.
Yeah.
So, 7 years of infertility treatments.
So were you nervous about going kind of through the adoption process? Like when you did the orientation, what were some of the questions like you had? And either one of you can answer this, obviously, that like regarding adoption. Like, did you know much about it?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
No, because we kind of explored a little bit. Initially, we looked into like the foster to adopt.
Okay.
And we had someone from the state come to our house and talk with us and talk about fostering. And we just realized that maybe we weren't prepared to take on a foster kid.
Yeah.
You know, with all their needs and just where we were at in life. Like, oh, maybe that's not the route to go.
Yeah.
And then she found Active Love and we just kind of went for it and learned as we went.
And did you check out any other agencies or just?
I think we just had a friend tell us one not to go to, that they didn't have a good experience with.
Yeah.
So, but what drew me to Active Love mostly was that the other agencies that I looked at had the adoption fees were based on the race of the baby rather than just this is your adoption fees. And Active Love didn't, this is just what our fees are.
Yeah.
Which that still blows my mind that there's like a price depending on race. Like that seems so like
That's how it was.
1950.
Very, very long time.
Yeah, which is
It's like buying a car.
I know. It's just so sad to me.
What model, what accessories do you want?
yeah. So
Well, and I think that they did it is because for some reason they felt like they were harder to place. And for some reason the people that had lower incomes were willing to take those children. I don't get it either. I had a huge problem with it. I've adopted 4 African American children and I had a huge issue with it. So needless to say, I hounded my mother
To make sure that is.
yeah, so Active Love was the only one that didn't have that I could find.
Yeah.
So that's what drew me to them.
No, that's good.
So how has your experience been? Because she is, I'm not going to use her name just because I don't, but your experience with her being African American, and you guys, because I know from when we've talked before, just the things that you have done because of that. So do you want to just kind of walk us through some of those things that you've kind of been, your eyes have been opened? It's like we all know that there's racism out there. We all know these things are happening, but until you're put in that situation where your child is privy to that and not in maybe great ways. So tell me some of the things that have kind of happened that have opened your eyes, and then what you guys have done to kind of combat that a little bit.
I guess just like I didn't, growing up, I didn't notice that all the Barbies were white in the store and all the baby dolls were white. I didn't notice that. And so like when I'm buying things for, I have this baby now and I'm trying to buy things for her and so she can have dolls that look like her. It wasn't as easy to find as I thought, or like my mom made their stockings and she had to like dye the person on the stocking because it was of a skater, like a figure skater. And so my mom had to dye the fabric so that she would have a skin tone that matched hers. And so just stuff like that I didn't think about before, because everyone looked like me. So, you notice.
So you're just, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't like everybody looked like you. So you're like, yeah, this is just how it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not something I paid much attention to, but I pay attention now. And so we've just done things like, I switched schools so that she could go to a more diverse school than the one I was teaching in, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, she's pretty acclimated. I mean, obviously when you're only 6, you don't totally know like what's going on around you. I know that you have made a concerted effort to buy books and dolls and things like that so that she doesn't feel like nobody looks like her. Has she ever asked questions to you guys just about race yet, or do you think that she's kind of not there yet?
She notices, she'll mention that she, this person has white skin or this person, she notices.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I don't think she's encountered any of the,
bad things yet.
Like things that would be upsetting to her yet.
I know, and hopefully she won't. Yeah. But unfortunately, people are dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen.
Like real dumb.
Yeah, well, and it actually happened. So when you decide to apply with the agency, did you say that it didn't matter what race of a child that you?
Yeah, they asked us kind of what we were looking for.
Yeah,
because I remember it was still an option, and also not just race, but do you want a boy or a girl?
Exactly.
Are you okay with a drug baby or not a drug baby? So I mean, we still had some things, and we were pretty open to pretty much anything. We didn't care race, sex, drug baby or not. We were pretty open.
That sounds like me. I just because all I cared about was a baby.
Yeah,
I did not care. I didn't take into consideration anything else but a baby. Just give me a baby. I don't care.
Yeah.
I think we definitely, if we had reservations about anything, it was anytime there was an available baby, they send you out the emails, like give you the details.
Yeah.
We were always a little more hesitant to take on maybe some severe drug baby cases.
Yeah.
Just we handle something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't have any kids. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's something we're prepared to handle. Are we the best thing for that kid? So,
Yeah.
It's not that we didn't turn it down, but we definitely kind of reviewed those things and thought a little harder about those things.
Yeah. Well, what she should.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it is important to say, like, are we capable at this point in our lives to handle these situations? And of course, like when you naturally have your own child, like you just get what you get. And, obviously when you're pregnant, you are more careful about what you're putting into your body. But you should tell what happened after you guys adopted her a couple of years later, like what ended up happening.
Oh,
You must have got pregnant.
I did.
I totally thought she was joking. I started laughing when she told me. I drove to the grocery store and I bought 3 or 4 different brands of pregnancy tests because I'm like, it's not even April Fool's yet. And yeah. Minutes later, we had a little man.
So wait, are they 2 or 3 years apart?
2.5.
2.5. Okay, so you were like, holy cow, what's going on? And you were super sick.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember she was still teaching at the school near our house. And so back to school night, I'd go and she's like sitting in the library. And like, you could just see like, she's like, please don't throw up. Please don't throw up. Please don't throw up. But like, obviously you guys were shocked about that because you were told by so many doctors and like the IUIs and the in vitro, like none of it was working. So what do you think? Do you think you kind of like weren't as stressed maybe about having a baby because now you had a baby and so you kind of like didn't worry about that as much? Like, what do you think?
I don't know. I saw all the reports saying that I had a very, very low chance of having a baby, you know, so I don't think that had a lot to do with my stress, you know.
Yeah.
I think it medically, I don't know.
Or like medically, that's what they say.
That's what I saw, you know, that they said there was like a 7% chance of our in vitro working, 7.
Oh.
So, and we still were like, well, we'll still just do it. And it didn't work, obviously. But I think it was more that, you know, I don't know, like the universe or timing or what, you know, just that, you know, we, you know, wouldn't have pursued adoption probably if I had gotten pregnant. And so, you know, she's in our, you know, she's our family. And so she wouldn't have been otherwise. So that's just kind of what I think.
So are you guys, I mean, obviously you love her and you're happy with her. Are you glad that you went through, kind of take some of the emotion out if you can? Are you glad that you went through that process? Because I know that it's difficult not only to struggle with infertility, but then say, okay, this is our option, and to go through all of that. What was your relationship with her birth mom like during her pregnancy and then even after? Like, what does that look like for you guys?
I don't remember the first parts of your question.
Sorry, I asked like a lot of questions and I'm like, remember them all. It's kind of like the memory game. Remember on all my answers. So
let's start with, okay, so you applied. And how long did you go before you were selected?
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah, 2 or 3. We were approved in February.
From when we got approved, yeah. But as far as like...
From the very beginning.
Yeah, from when we started, we were only 9 months total maybe because we had to do like...
The home study.
All the home study stuff. And then we had to take all our video classes and our tests. And we had to go sit with all the pregnant families into a birthing class. And that was pretty awkward watching all the moms that are 8 months pregnant and getting ready to have their baby. And we're just chilling like, hey. So that was hard, right? Seeing all the pregnant moms. But to answer the first part of your question, like you look in hindsight, so glad we went through everything that we did. It was so stressful. It was so hard. But looking back on it, like she said, we never would have gotten Holland had we not gone through that. And we learned so much from it that I'm actually pretty grateful that we did get to go through it.
Yeah. And she's like one of my favorite people. And it's interesting because she reminds me so much of Afton, like just their personalities.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. I mean, even when she was like a baby, I have pictures of Cody and her hugging and her just like, I'm so over this. And Cody's like, I love you, like picking her up and like doing all these things. And, you know, and Holland's just like, and there was one of them like laying on the couch and Cody's like trying to like love on her. And you can be like, she could see her. She's like, oh, get this over with. Is that kid? He's so obnoxious. What was my next question? I don't even remember my question.
No. But so the selection process, when did you guys end up being with the birth mom? How far along was she? And
we were selected like 2 weeks before she gave birth.
Okay.
So
If that,
Yeah. Is she already here?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you guys ever meet her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And were you guys because I know each birth mom has a different kind of birth plan. Were you guys in the room with her when she was delivering? Did she want you to come after? Like, what was that?
She initially invited us to be in there with her.
Okay.
And so we had kind of expected and planned on it. And we don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, when we did get the phone call, they just told us to stay home. So we don't know at what point that changed. So we just sat at home and just twiddled our thumbs and stared at the wall. Yeah, and it was only from the time they called us and said that she's in labor to the time that they're like, okay, now you can come. It was only like 2 hours, but it felt like 28 hours.
It does, right?
Yeah, because we're like, what do we do? I'm not just going to like, hang out, watch TV. Like, we were freaking out. And like, we were ready. Like, I had keys in my hand, like, let's go, you know. And
like, should we pack a bag? Should we get food?
what do we do? Yeah. So, we don't know what changed, but we went down there maybe 2 hours after she was born.
Mm-hmm. So. Okay. And had they already moved her to another room, like the birth mom, into like the...
Yeah, so when we saw her, when she was in the nursery.
Oh, okay. Because I know sometimes I'd been with some birth moms, like during the labor, obviously, and there have been parents in there. There was a specific one where the guy who was adopting is a single dad, and so it was just him in the room. But it is awkward because you're so exposed. You know what I mean?
I was in the room with my son.
But I think it's also different. Like, women are different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And in this particular situation, maybe some social cues weren't so obvious. And so there were a lot of times that I had to like hold up blankets or sheets so that she could like adjust herself. And she had super high blood pressure. So they kept her in the labor and delivery room for like 6 hours. So we didn't even get to the recovery room till like 10 o'clock that night. And he was just kind of like hanging out. And she's like, could you like ask him to go like stand behind the curtain? Because like I have to like, sometimes you're like, I just need to like adjust and I just need to be like out there right now. Yeah. And also I have an epidural, so my legs aren't totally working. So and
it's a good thing you were there on that one.
I know. But I think I just remember in my own personal experience with adoption, like once there was so many people in the room, it got so overwhelming.
Oh yeah. There's no way I wouldn't have invited people to go into mine.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Like I don't even think I had anybody. I had my two of my sisters in the room with me. But other than that, like, but then people visited. It just was so emotional. And I was like, I can't. And sometimes maybe you realize that in the situation. I'm not sure. Was Holland her first baby?
No, second.
Okay. So I mean, who knows? There's so many reasons why things like that change. But it sucks when you're anticipating being there and seeing it, but then you got to see Kellen born.
Yeah, and we had no one in the room because Kellen was born during COVID. So
were you even allowed to be in the room?
Barely.
That was the first doctor's visit that I got to go to was his birth. I got to go to none of the visits. Like, so for me, you're
like, surprise!
That was it. Like, hey, what's up? We're here. So, but yeah, there was one nurse and then the OB doc. So there was only 4 of us in the room.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah,
so crazy. Well, did you guys end up staying, like, once you got to the hospital, how long did you guys stay there? And did they give you a separate, like, bonding room?
Yeah, so they gave us a room of our own, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we had her all day, and then we had to leave at night. But when it was time for us to leave, the night nurse came in to introduce herself, and I was already, like, I'm supposed to sleep my baby.
I know.
They're wrecking it. So, but when the night nurse came in to introduce herself, it was my cousin. And I didn't know that she had switched hospitals, and
that's a nice surprise.
Yeah,
but you're like, oh,
so
okay, I can trust
she
you.
took care of the baby all night long, and could text me updates, and she's doing fine.
So then the birth mom didn't want to see the baby once delivered.
She did. So then the next day, when we finally got to go back, we did go into the birth mom's room with the baby, and all 4 of us were in there together.
Okay. And how was that?
Awkward, like you don't know what to do or say. Like, what do you say? Like, I mean, it was pretty awkward, but it was fine. How she was doing.
Yeah.
She's a really sweet natured person. Yeah, so she had a really like calming, presence.
And that's the one thing I think was hard, like going into people's rooms, like when there's the birth parent and then the adoptive parent, and you're kind of like, do I just let this be awkward? Like, there's this thick air, or do you like try to talk to everyone and like get this conversation? Like, what? Because some of the birth moms are super chatty, and they're just like, and I think a lot of the times the adoptive families are kind of like, what do? We don't want to say something that's going to be offensive. But also like, we want this bonding time, but I know that she probably wants this bonding time. So it's just like this weird, kind of transfer.
Yeah. No, I think we knew that it wasn't our time, like it was her time with her.
Yeah.
And so.
And so when you went in with the baby, she had you be in the room while she held the baby. Is that what
She didn't hold her.
She wouldn't
just,
hold her.
yeah.
She just wheeled her in the cart next to her and she looked at her. But
Yeah.
She didn't touch her.
Yeah. So I don't know if she did. I know she asked for, like right before she signed, in like the next morning or whatever. If she, so I don't know. Well, she asked for her. I don't know if she held her or not, but she asked her to.
just to
I
be
think to.
Just to see her.
I think
so.
Yeah. I know. That's like, I remember that. I was like, okay, take my baby. And then all of a sudden I was like, I didn't get to say goodbye. Bring him back.
Yeah.
Bring him back. And
Did
so they
you?
brought him back.
Okay.
No, they brought him back. But we did it at the agency because I didn't want a transfer in the hospital. Like it felt very transactional to me.
Yeah.
And so I just felt like in the privacy of the agency, it would be.
So then did the agency take the baby?
Well, so
I mean, because technically until those papers are signed.
no, I got to take the baby home.
Okay.
Like I put him in a car seat and took him to the house that I had been living in. And then my mom was with me too. So, and there's no way she would have been like, let me run away with the baby. That one, I probably would have gone a block away. But like, I don't know what to do.
But do you think that was better for you, or do you think it made it harder?
I think no matter where or what was happening, it was going to be hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I think back and I'm like, I think if it was at the hospital, it would have been hard to then walk out with no baby.
Yeah.
But then I was able to walk out with a baby, and it maybe was a little easier
Kenzie did it at the hospital.
at the hospital. Yeah. So I just think everybody, because you don't know what to expect even as a birth mom.
Yeah.
Especially if it's your first time placing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we
Yeah,
do have
no
the
idea.
repeat birth mothers who know kind of what's going on and how it works and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they're less emotional.
Because they've been through it.
But then also I've met birth moms who are like, all right, where do I sign the baby? I got to get back home. Like, I got to get out of here. I know. I got like my mom to take care of, or I got my, like my sister needs my help or something. And I'm always like, do you want to cry? Do you want to talk about it? And they're like, no, I'm good. Like it, and it's so weird to me. But I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people also deal with emotions different.
Yeah.
And
Just kind of have to close it off for self-preservation.
Yeah.
yeah. And sometimes trauma, I think as humans too, we're like, okay, so like we're going to like close that box, put it over here.
Which doesn't ever work.
No.
Yeah.
And then like move on and fill my time with some like
To keep
refocus my
busy.
energy,
Yeah, keep busy.
which we all know does not work. I tried it and it's not good.
Yeah.
Does not
It
work
is
at
not
all.
good at all.
No.
So how do you think she adjusted to having a baby brother? Like, do you feel like she was just like right into the role of big sister? And
Yeah, she was 2.5 when he was born, so she was, I don't know. I mean, I think probably just as anyone else would.
yeah,
The pediatrician, told us to, do's and don'ts of, So we had him like in the bassinet when she came in to see him, so I wasn't holding him.
Yeah.
That kind of.
did she try to like get in his face a lot or no?
She kind of stared at him and would like run away and then like stare at him and then like run. Yeah, she just kind of like
kept telling us there was a baby.
yeah.
Like you're like, yeah, huh? My kids always wanted to rip the soft spot. Like, stay away, stay away.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. We had to keep him alive for his first few months because she,
There was a couple.
tried to mother
Calorie
him,
smothering.
tried to, make him comfortable. So we had to keep an eagle eye on him to listen.
Oh my gosh, people think, what would she do when she would make him comfortable?
Yeah, just like, put a pillow next, just his little face.
Oh, and he couldn't do it. He
Yeah.
couldn't lift his head.
Yeah,
So she's
so
like,
we-
it's fine. Like all the blankets. You're like, he doesn't need 17 blankets. I think he's A-okay.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
that's that. I had with Kendra, my second, and then my third one, those two hate relations. She just couldn't stand them and she would literally pretend like he didn't exist. I mean, I would be holding him and she would climb on me and climb on him. I'm like, excuse me.
Oh, there was a couple times Caleb did that to me. And I'm like, hi. So like, there's your brother. You can't be doing that anymore.
Yeah, she just pretended like he wasn't. I mean, they're good now, but I mean,
Oh, my brother tried to suffocate me with a pillow. Like I was like maybe 2 months old and my mom comes in and there's a pillow over my face. And I was like, she's like, I just think he just didn't know what to do with you.
yeah.
Like,
He was trying to make you comfortable.
Yeah.
It was trying to make me comfortable. Or I was crying. He's like, how do you make this top off? Like, I don't know what to do with
How
this
old is he?
person. He's 3.5 years
Okay.
older.
Okay.
Almost 4 years.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, obviously, it was an adjustment to go from no kids to 2 kids in like 2.5 years. And like, I mean, but you guys have adjusted pretty well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think that you would adopt again?
I don't think we
Like, would we go through the process again, or like, would we consider a third kid?
Would you consider a third kid? Because I know the process is, and I don't know.
Or are you done with 2?
I think we're done.
yeah.
But we've also talked about it. We definitely understand that a lot of times there's repeat birth mothers,
Yeah.
and they want to keep
Siblings.
That's what
siblings
happened.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And so
like that. Yeah.
we're definitely understand that if the birth mom ever does have another baby and wants to go that route, wants to keep, we couldn't
Say no.
say no.
That's how I
couldn't.
yeah, that's how I-
So
yeah.
we are done to seeking out.
Yes.
And I mean, we were done with one. I mean, number 2 is a big surprise. Like we had planned life
On
with
just
just one.
Okay.
And we were like,
We're good.
I had a life, right? And then he came and just like, oh, reset.
Yeah.
I
guess we're doing 2.
But yeah, we definitely understand there's small chance, but there could be a third in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
We're open to it.
Yeah.
Do you have to go through the whole process again? So like start from ground zero?
Yeah, you have to reapply. You have to do a home study. Depending on how old the home study is, you can have an addendum done to the home study.
What's the shelf life on that?
Okay, so 4 years is usually 3 to 4 years is what a home stay lasts.
Okay.
Criminal background checks and stuff you have to do every year. I actually got all 4 of my kids off of one home study because we kept doing addendums
Oh, okay.
because my kids were like
Back.
boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom, yeah.
Do you have to, I mean, I know you have to do background checks for firefighting. So do you guys have to do that every year too? Or is it just like every
Right.
It's just updated like this. It's mine at least is through the
Yeah.
state.
Oh yeah,
So the
because
state
you're
just,
you have to do it for teaching, and then you have to do it.
yeah. So the state just
Which is kind of nice because you're like, well, our criminal background check is already good.
Don't you have to sign for it though? Do you sign it?
probably
Okay,
I signed a lot.
ours is ours is every 6 months. So if you work at the agency, we have to get them like every 6 months.
Oh, so you did a background check and they cleared. That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
we did. And a child abuse check. Everything was good.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I mean, just that one time I got arrested for hopping a fence into a pool.
Um,
That didn't pop on the BYU campus security didn't like write that on my permanent
no,
record.
they didn't. You got away with it. It didn't go on your permanent record. You're good.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
That's funny.
So
My brother got something like that too. Trespassing.
yeah, it's stupid. It's like rent a cop stuff.
For going through to a pool. I'm like, seriously?
Do you send
So what's your relationship with your birth mom?
yeah, and like for the first like year or two, what did that look like for you guys?
She asked for picture updates 4 times a year.
Okay.
So that's just always what I've done is email it and
Like even still? Okay.
yeah, because if I agreed to something, then
Yeah, she gave me her babies.
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go back on it. You know what I mean?
It's the least I can do.
Yeah. Do you send like your Christmas cards too, like digitally, or do you?
No.
Okay.
Just
Is it done through the agency and we forward them on?
no. I send them.
Like you have her email.
I just copy the agency.
Yeah, we created a separate email account
Okay.
just for that to have that communication
Yes.
with her, and we
And
send her
that's
just pictures.
And does she communicate
Okay,
back?
so not like just her.
Yeah, it's not us. It's just her. Like she just barely got her dance photos.
Oh,
So we sent
here's to and her little peak tutu.
Shout out.
Oh,
to
She did hip hop dance, and so
Oh, that's what
she
my
was dressed
daughter
up like a
does.
little basketball player.
stop.
She had a lot of attitude in it.
danced
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I'm probably gonna need to see that video like right after this. 'Cause that is gonna be amazing. Yeah, she's so cute.
So cute. And so does the birth mom communicate back with you guys?
Sometimes, yeah. So she has been a lot like in the last couple of years.
More communicative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually that.
I think so hard at first.
Yeah. All my
Anyone can understand that.
with my last 2 that were more open, they said that they wanted it, but I mean, Georgiana, she's the one with my son that she allowed us in the room. I actually stayed in the room with her overnight and took care of him.
Okay.
And so I enjoyed that time because I got to learn a lot about her life.
Yeah.
That was beneficial. And she wanted pictures and letters too, but then after 2 years, she told me to stop.
Yeah.
So, and then with my last one, the same thing. We kept sending stuff, but it got sent back.
See, and so there's no like limit, like she didn't say for the first like 4 years, because when I
Or
placed,
18 years.
When I placed, they said the first 2 years I would get pictures and letters, and then after 2 years I'd only get letters, and then after maybe 4 or 5, then like the letters just
tapers off.
It just tapers off.
No, I just assumed it was
forever.
Yeah. But, and, you know, they told her and us that, like, Utah it's not really a legal requirement, you know, like it's kind of like a good fit.
It's a gentleman's agreement.
I think it's more of a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
And I think with how we feel about it, I don't think we have a problem with it all. And as long as she doesn't tell us to stop, we'll just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and so how are you guys feeling? Because I recently talked to a birth mother who has had an extremely open adoption. Up until recently, something has kind of changed because their other child doesn't have that kind of communication with their birth mom. So they're trying to be sensitive to that, obviously. But it's been really hard on the birth mom. So
how old is that child?
10.
Okay.
How, like if her birth mom was like, hey, I want to be more in her life. Like, I want to come out and visit. I want to, like, things like that. Like, how open are you guys to that? Or does that kind of worry you? Because I know that a lot of I know it worried Jacob's mom. Yeah. You know, like, I know that that is a possibility, and it really is scary. So what are your guys' feelings on that?
I think everyone deserves to know where they come from.
Yeah.
And so if, you know, she wanted to meet her, I would.
Do you think that you have an age in mind that you would think it would be okay for her to do that?
I don't know. I don't think I've really
thought about or talked about.
I don't think it's something that I, you know, unless our daughter asked me, you know, to ask her birth mother, then I might. But I don't think it's something I would.
You wouldn't seek it.
Push on either one of them.
Yeah.
You know, so if her birth mother sought it out, then I would, you know,
bring it up,
figure out. Yeah. Yeah. And then, or if our daughter sought it out, I think probably just go off of what they want, not what
you're feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
because
he was adopted by his stepfather. So he, has like a, you kind of have that thing where you have like your biological family, you know what I mean? But like also, that's where he comes from.
Yeah. Well, it is. And it's family, right?
Yeah. It's just more people. It's just more you.
Well, yeah.
If you want to call it that.
Well, and sometimes it's complicated.
Yeah. It's very complicated. Yeah. But I'm with her on that. Like, I think it would be up to our daughter. Like, it's put our personal feelings aside. I think our job is to protect her. And if it's something she's not ready for, then no dice. But if she's ready for it, or even if she says she's ready for it or wants to do it, but if it's affecting her negatively, then once again, that's our job to pull her back, right? So, but I think that's entirely, and I guess my personal feelings is if she gets older and if she wants to seek the birth mother out, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think that age is a huge factor in that, right? So I think that because the birth mom's not already in place, like a norm, like
she's not from the very beginning. She's not like in her life. Like she doesn't do like birthdays, and she's not this like permanent fixture.
And she doesn't know her at all. Yeah.
I don't think that she understands really what
it would be
adoption
confusing.
Is. Yeah. She knows that she was in someone else's tummy. She knows like that kind of stuff, but I don't think she really understands what that is at this age.
And I also don't think, there are obviously those birth children who do want to seek that out. And then there's some who just don't. And I remember when I had reached out to Jacob's parents about me being in the same state, and if he'd be interested, the one thing his mom said to me was, well, let me talk to him about it and see how he feels, which I'm like, I'm really grateful that they didn't just immediately shut me down.
Yeah.
And that they went to him, because and it was kind of ironic though, because he's like, he kind of had like forgotten that she'd asked him about it. And then she's like, oh, or he's like, oh yeah, right. Yeah, I guess that's cool. Like he's just so like chill. But then when I've asked him, you know, do you want to meet your birth father? He's like, nah, like I have no desire whatsoever. So it's just interesting with each.
Well, most kids are more towards wanting to meet the birth mother.
Yeah.
Over the birth father.
Yeah.
It seems. I mean, just from ones we've had on the.
Well, and it's been interesting because, you know, my mom invited him to my hometown. And
Yeah. Did they go?
No, she didn't tell my dad.
Oh.
So she asked my dad, and my dad basically said,
Oh.
and he said he's not ready. And it's been, what, 20 years?
Yeah.
But I also don't think it's something that my dad has,
Dealt with. I don't think.
he hasn't, yeah, it's definitely not something he thinks about daily.
Yeah.
And so I think he'd have to like unpack a lot of that stuff before that, you know, happens. But it really made me sad though, because Jacob was really looking forward to it. And
Yeah. To meet them. Yeah.
and to hear that like your maternal grandfather is not in a place that,
Well, maybe your mom could figure out some way she could travel or something, so at least he could meet one of them.
well, he's met her.
Oh, he has.
She just wanted to bring him home to like see where he's from, like where his
you
birth
were
mother's
raised,
from, you know, how like where I went to high school and things like that. So,
Yeah.
but I agree with you. It is important to kind of see where you come from in a sense, because sometimes you want that, not like the feeling of belonging, but you're like, did I get any traits? Do I look like somebody, you know, maybe not her, but maybe like a sibling to her, or, you know, so it is nice. And I think a lot of times birth kids too look at those extensions of family members like that as just that, like an extended family member. Because, you know, you guys changed her diapers. You guys, when she was sick, you took care of her. When she crawls in your bed in the middle of the night 17 times because she wants to sleep with you guys. That's what makes a parent. I don't think what makes a parent is DNA. No, because anybody can really just have a kid.
Yeah.
Or like be privy to that, but not everyone can be a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I think the kids know that, like they create this special bond with you.
Yeah. As a parent.
I think maybe as kids, they don't think of it in that depth. And I guess from my personal experience, like she was saying, I was adopted by my stepfather, right? And I went 8 years without seeing my biological father. And I punished my adopted dad, right? You're not my dad, you know, blah, blah, blah. Even though he's the one working the extra jobs, taking me on vacation, doing all those things, right?
Because you were hurt, though.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Like I actually found my birth father on accident. And I secretly, not telling my parents, sought out a relationship with him, and I got burned. And just like you were saying, he wanted nothing to do with me. And so, but for me, that was kind of closure. Yeah. So from that point on, I was like,
you had to learn that lesson yourself. Yeah.
But for me, it was that closure. It was those answers.
Yeah.
How old were you?
16.
When you
I was just driving to a buddy's house, driving down the street, and I was like, oh man, that's my dad.
And so, so you knew what he looked like.
I knew what he looked like.
Well, he was 6.
I was.
Oh, you were 6.
I was 6 when my parents split. I was 8 when I was adopted.
Okay.
Yeah, so his father, gave up the rights to him.
When I was 8, he essentially sat me down and broke up with me.
But
Seriously, it sounds too.
Are you serious?
But no, dead serious.
but within your heart, though, you still felt a pull towards him.
Yeah, you always do.
He did that.
And I think from 16 up until a couple years ago, he passed, and I think I just put it away.
Yeah,
and distanced myself from it.
Door
when he passed,
it was hard.
I struggled.
Yeah.
So when did you start to go a little bit easier on your father that adopted you? Your stepfather.
I think once you mature, and I think maybe as I got a little older and I got a job and I had to start kind of earning some money and having responsibilities of my own, and then you start to maybe realize the things that your parents do for you.
Yeah,
right?
So you look at him more as your father at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and do you think that maybe you punished your stepdad, 1, because you were hurting so much, and 2, because he was a safe space for you and it was easier
1,000%, right? I think
get it out.
I think as a young kid, we always take our parents for granted, and you are safe with them, right? And so it's we know as our daughter gets older and she's going to have struggle with these emotions that we're going to be the punching bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Nice lawnmower.
and it kind of goes when you were talking about, losing your dad and how hard that was. It kind of like nature versus nurture. Like, even though he didn't raise you and he gave up his rights and he broke up with you, like, that's, you still have that like open wound of like, he is a part of me, whether I like it or not. And he's still my dad. I mean, you hear stories all the time about, my parents abused me, or they're in prison, or they couldn't meet my emotional needs. But it's like, you still care for them, and you got almost like
Approval.
you seek the approval, even though you're like, I don't want your approval, but please give it to me. Like, I'm going to call you and tell you all the amazing things I do, and please let me, because it's hard. It's hard to be rejected.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And that brought up all the wounds when he passed.
Yeah, I'm
all
sure.
over again. Right.
But you're like, we can't.
Now you can't really move on.
I mean, you've gotten closure, but at the same time, it's like this thing that's kind of just there.
It's there.
Just there.
Nothing I can do about it now.
I know. It's interesting, like, especially as I've been going through therapy, talking with my therapist, she talks a lot about like my inner child and how I respond to a lot of situations from that space. And so I'm sure that you respond from the place of like a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old sometimes on certain things. And as like your logical adult mind is like, what are you doing? Like, that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're being controlled in a sense by this inner dialogue or this inner child that's like, but what about me? Like, I'm hurting, and why aren't you meeting these needs for me? And so as a parent, you're also thinking like, how can I give this to my child? But then also you're trying to fix these wounds inside of you and hope that you don't repeat those same patterns. And obviously, like, you're not going to break up with your children.
No.
Like, your children are your children. They will always be your children. Like, you would go against, just knowing you would never give up your rights to those children. And you're going to be the best dad and the best mom that you guys absolutely can be. Because I know that, you've had some differences in your life with your parents and things like that I know that you guys are wanting to provide maybe more of a stable
environment,
but it's hard. And it's hard to keep your emotions in check sometimes when...
Well, it's hard to deal with your own step baggage, right? If you haven't dealt with it before you have kids.
Well, a lot of times you're like, I don't got any baggage. And then you have kids and you're like, oh dear.
I have a lot of baggage I didn't even know about.
Yeah, I told Brian, I was like, I know I had baggage, but I didn't know it was like an airplane full. Like, I am so sorry. And I didn't realize that we were going to shift with the altitude and just explode everywhere. Because that
does happen.
It does happen. And you're just like,
at some point it will happen. Yeah.
Well, I feel like all the people around my age, I know you guys are like a lot younger than I am.
Oh, yeah.
But like all of a sudden I hear all my friends like the same things. They're like, oh my gosh, like I am so messed up. Like I need help. I need therapy. Like what? Like how did I get by this long? Like how did I survive? But then you look at it in the sense of like, man, I'm really freaking strong that I've been able to like
just get through it. And
get through it and keep going and like do this on my own and like be a functioning member of society. Because sometimes you're like, how?
Yeah.
But then also you have more empathy for the people who can't handle it very well.
Yeah.
Who during this time,
it's hard.
Who try to like,
how hard it is.
Fix all that stuff. I don't know. We're on off a tangent, not even talking about adoption, but
we're talking about how messed up we are.
Yeah, basically.
Everybody is. It's okay.
I know, but I just think that your kids got lucky with you guys as parents, because I just see all the, like, sometimes I'm always like, man, I wish I was like half the parent that, because Nate's like the most clean person you've ever met in your entire life. Like he keeps all the things in checks. Like she had this with their daughter. She was it 100 books in the summertime or 100 books in a year?
We read 1,000 books.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1,000 books.
Oh my God.
Put some respect on it.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Like
it wasn't 100.
It was 1,000. But like I look
before
at this,
kindergarten.
Yeah. Before kindergarten.
Gosh, that's a lot.
Cody is like, Mom, I saw this on YouTube. And Holland's over here like, the very hungry caterpillar on Monday. She doesn't read on my read. But you said she's so smart. Like she even like.
Well, she was born that way. I didn't.
Like, but I know, and I get that. Kids are born with their personalities and their things like that. But like, you have taken parenting like very seriously, and
she's a teacher. So I'm like thinking she would have a certain, you know what I mean?
I know, but it just makes me, I mean, if of all the houses that their daughter could have gone through, like she got real lucky to go to their house, and same with their son. And I just think,
but I bet that they feel like they're the lucky one.
We do.
Not the child.
Oh, I know.
And I'm sure we're screwing them up somehow.
Well, everyone is.
Well, yeah, we'll figure it out when they're teenagers and they tell us.
Yes.
Yeah. And they hit you, and they're like, "You're the reason I'm going to therapy."
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
I know. My mom did
we'll
say to me
figure it
one time, she's like, when you guys go to therapy, just like, please make sure like I'm not the cause of everything. And I'm like, well, I can't make promises, but I'm like, I don't think so. And then I get there and I was like, even my therapist was like,
yes. Oh, shoot.
But then also, when you're an adult, you do realize, like, look, I get why I did that, and I am so sorry.
Yeah.
That wasn't the best, and I get why you responded that way, or, you know, so.
Well, hopefully you get that. Not everyone gets that.
No, I know not everyone gets that. And I think, too, as a parent, at least something I've learned is the most helpful thing I hope that you can tell your kids is, look, hey, I'm sorry. I made a mistake.
Hey, I told my kids that. I go, I'm sorry. I know I've screwed up, and maybe you can do better. And I'll help you with counseling.
I'll pay for your therapy. Well, just like things where I'm like, look, I shouldn't have responded in that way. I shouldn't have yelled at you. That was wrong on me. You don't have to, because my, you know, especially my oldest will be like, it's okay, Mom. I'm like, no, it's not okay. I should not have responded to you in that way. You're 14.
Yeah.
Like, I responded to you like you're an adult, and that's unfair. Because I think
at least you noticed. Why didn't you realize it? And you apologize.
Taken me a lot of time to get there.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think if we just let our kids know, because with my parents and maybe with your parents, you don't see them as humans. Like, you don't see them as like they're going to make mistakes. Like they know everything, you know. And then as you get older, you're like, oh, they don't. And maybe a part of me wishes they would have been like, man, that was wrong. Like, I am so sorry. Or validating the feelings of your children, maybe in ways that you weren't validated.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and I think that as parents and as adults, we're kind of learning as we go.
Oh yeah, there's no freaking book.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
there's thousands of books, but there's no books.
And we're trying to figure out how to deal with our own baggage as we're going. So it's like, yeah. I mean, I've taken, because all mine are adults, and I've said to each of them, I'm so sorry. You know, if we messed you up here or there, you know, we did the best I could.
Yeah.
You know, from the start, and I apologize for those things and change. So now they can see me changing, so that's a good thing too.
And I think that's the whole thing, right? We're here to raise our kids, to then help them change, but then also be a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Each generation get a little bit better, right?
Although I don't know, each generation I've noticed, I'm like, are we decreasing in not all the people in the generation, but sometimes I'm like,
there is some.
I am very worried.
There is some that could be an issue.
Yeah. Tell me about it. So, I just am really glad that you guys had such a positive experience with adoption. And I know that it's just as emotional for you guys as it is for the birth moms, obviously in different ways. But it's a very emotional journey. Everyone is affected. And it's not just you two that were affected. You know, it was your parents, your siblings, your nieces and nephews. Like, there's a ripple effect. Mm-hmm. But I do think that adoption is a beautiful option out there.
Yeah.
Because I think every child deserves to be loved and taken care of and protected in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of kids out there who are even when adoption wasn't on the table.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of kids who deserve better.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, and you guys are giving her better, and her mom knew that too. So, as difficult as it was.
Yeah.
But
that decision, yeah.
Yeah.
And so would you refer adoption to people? Would you say, yeah, do it as a form of creating a family?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you know, when you I'm going to ask this question because you have a biological and an adopted. Do you see them or love them any differently?
No. And that's something I've talked to with a lot of people. Actually, when she got pregnant, I had so many people, it actually drove me nuts. Oh, just wait until you get to see the birth of your own child. It's so amazing. They felt like they were cheapening the experience I had through the adoption. It's like, hold up, you're saying that your experience with your biological kid was better than my experience with my adopted child. And I don't mean to make this sound bad. I actually had a far more deeper connection to the adoption process than I did through my own biological kid. And maybe that was just because the adoption, like by the time we got selected, the time she was here was 10 days. And all the work we did to lead up to it.
Well, you did it all together.
Yeah. And it was this overspill of emotion to where when we had him, it was, you kind of have 8-9 months to prepare for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he wrecked her. And she was so much work for me to finally, when he got here, I was like, oh, you're the little demon that's been doing all this. Right? So
he's like, I can finally freaking get my wife back.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, for me personally, like both were special in their own right.
Yes.
But one was no more than the other.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I asked, because people always say, it's not the same. If they have, I couldn't have any biologically. And I'm like, I can't imagine that I could love a child any more than I love my children. So I can't see that. And that's why I asked the question, because people always,
Yeah.
they always say stupid stuff.
Dumb
You know what I mean?
Dumb
Don't you
stuff.
get like and then because she's another race than you, it adds on. I'm just like, seriously, just you really need to shut your mouth and stop talking.
Well, and the one thing that I don't love is when people call, like when they're, like, oh, they're adoptive parents. I'm like, no, they're the parents.
Yeah.
Like I call Jacob's parents his mom and dad.
Yeah.
I don't say his adoptive mom.
No.
Or his adoptive father. I call them mom and dad.
Yeah.
Because that is what they are.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, talk like, oh, your adoptive daughter. Like, no, she's my daughter. Just as a stepchild, they're my daughter. They're my son.
Yeah.
Because like it also cheapens it and makes them feel less than.
Oh, definitely.
Well, but people also say your own children.
Mm-hmm. They do.
And they're like, oh, wait till you have your own child. Or,
Like, what is that? What is she? She's our child.
So
Right?
They try and cheapen it.
They do. They do. And it's like, she's mine. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't. But I also think people are just ignorant to how adoption works, all the emotions that go into it, because from the outside looking in, it looks like, this girl just got knocked up. And so she's like taking the easy way out by, doing this. And then these people can't have kids. So they're like just easily getting a baby.
Yeah.
They don't see all the behind the scenes. They don't see all the work. They don't see all the emotions. They don't see all the the years of infertility and
And
just
the heartbreak.
and heartbreak and all those things. And you can't explain that to someone unless they've gone through it. Right.
So, okay, just came to my head. The adoptive family, when they get to adoption, has gone through a whole bunch of heartbreak.
Yes.
And then they're blessed with a gift. The birth mother starts her path of heartbreak.
Yeah.
So it's like it's
Like the heartbreak
it's changed.
kind of
Yeah.
ends and then shifts.
It shifts.
Yeah.
It shifts until she can heal. So it's like both have heartbreak, but at different times of the adoption process. But
I mean, and life is kind of honestly about heartbreak. I
It's
just have decided
different.
that
Yeah.
life in general is
It's just navigate. It's just life.
we do. Yeah. You just have
and you just have to figure out, like, am I going to let this like ruin me, or am I going to like let this
strength
strengthen me and just keep like moving forward, like taking one step forward. And a lot of times you feel like you're taking 3 steps forward and then 10 steps back. And then you're taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back. And it's just this constant.
But as long as you choose to keep getting up and stepping forward, you're in a good place.
Yeah. Which is, and sometimes you just are like, I'm not even going to think about it.
No.
I'm just going to keep barreling through.
Or just get up and just keep moving.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all we can do.
Yeah. I know.
So, but I had to ask that question because I get it myself. So,
Yeah.
you
You can just make business cards that say you're dumb and just like slide it over to them when they ask a question. You're like, I'm not even going to answer that question.
One more thing, because she is Black, do you ever get the thing where people say, "Oh, she's so blessed that you adopted her"? Have you ever had that?
When she was born,
Yeah.
we did.
Uh huh.
We don't really get a lot of, like, at least the comments from people we know anymore, like about any of it, really. I think people just that's our family.
Now.
I don't, but when she was born, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
And I also think maybe we looked for it a little bit at first too, knowing that we were white, she's Black, and
You're
you
looking
start
for
walking
the
through the grocery stores and you really start to notice people looking at you.
right?
Yeah. And so I almost kind of became like hyper aware of
Yes.
it and maybe almost a little defensive of it sometimes.
It's like, I'm going to fight you.
Yeah, like I was ready to kill everyone.
It's like so staring at us. Yeah.
You looking at my baby?
Yeah.
You looking at my baby?
Yeah.
We could have had a recessive gene from hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
This, you know.
Yeah, even ladies coming up saying nice things, be like, "Oh, if my kid was white, would you be saying this?" You know, but
No, they wouldn't.
no, yeah,
They totally wouldn't.
they wouldn't, right? But now I just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's
my
what you
kid.
get. You
and,
get
and I walk around and my kids look,
Yeah.
completely different. You know, she's dark skinned brown eyes and he's light skinned blue eyes. And
Yeah.
those are my kids.
Yeah. And you wouldn't have.
know,
They're very much siblings.
Yeah. The way they fight and I yell at
she
them.
takes care of him. Yeah, she takes care of him. You know, that's her little brother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Treats them like that.
she does. Yep.
I know what's funny. It's like they fight like crazy when they're home, and then when they're out and someone's picking on them, all of a sudden
They'll
like,
defend
that's
them.
my brother. Like, I'm sorry, what did you just say to him? Like, get over here.
I can only do that.
Yeah, I can only do that.
That was my older brother's rules that no one could pick on me but him.
Yeah. You're not allowed to do that.
And you're like, and I'm keeping track. In my head, I'm keeping track of you.
Well, because I always took initially in the beginning, I did the adoptive family line.
Yeah.
When the agency first opened, and I just would get phone calls, and I would tell people, I go, if you're going to adopt another race, get used to being stared at.
Yeah.
If you're trying to blend in the back of a room and you don't want to be seen, then don't do it.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that, because that's a huge thing. You have to learn how to. And it takes time, but you get to a point where you just don't care. And people, the only time they go, don't you see color? And I'm like, no, I see my babies. I go, the only time this is what I always say, the only time I ever saw color is when I was in a mirror looking at myself and my child. And all I thought was, I am so pale. I need a tan.
I always think, man, their skin is so beautiful. Like,
Well, there's but that's what I looked at. I looked at how bad I looked.
Yeah.
In comparison. And then when Shannon had a baby, I'm like, oh my gosh, is he sick? He looks really pale. No, he's fine. He's white, Heidi. I'm like,
you're like, oh, right.
I'm sorry. I forgot, because mine were never that pale.
Well, I remember when Jacob was little, all of his cousins were towheads. And like, I mean, his hair is not like super. It's probably like between me and you, somewhere in between me and you. And it's really soft. It's like the texture of my hair. But he would always be like, I want to be blonde like my cousins. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, you tan so much better. I'm like, they're going to be bright. And you're just going to be like this mocha color, like beautiful skin tone. I was like, you don't want to be like that. But his mom would write me letters like, oh, he just always talks about like, I want hair like that. And I want... this. I mean, of course, when you're little, you just want to look like everybody
She says
else.
that sometimes too. That yes,
Yeah,
I
they
think
do.
it's hard being the only one with
It
in
is.
your family that you
That's true.
everyone
yeah.
looks the same.
Yeah, my goal was to make my husband and I the minorities in our family.
Yeah.
That was my goal.
You reached it.
I accomplished. It did. I accomplished that goal, because that's the thing. I always wanted them to have someone that would know what they're going through,
Right.
At the time. So, and our family's huge. So, I have siblings that are African American.
Yeah.
Well, I do have if you guys or Holland is ever interested, we had a transracial. She's an adoptee, but she's also a therapist in the Salt Lake Valley. So if that's something you're ever interested in, because I think that there's a very special niche for that, especially in the state of Utah, where the majority of people look like us. So
Yeah, she's a transracial.
yeah, but she's awesome.
Yeah, she's weird. Well, and you could go look. She's on podcasts, right?
I think I've seen
Stormy.
Yeah, Stormy.
Yeah. And she also, anyways, but yeah, so if you ever are interested in that, just, if things start to get more complicated, because I feel like as they get older, things start to get a little bit more complicated.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah. So just know you have resources out there, and I'm sure you already know that. I'm sure you've already done your research knowing you. She's like, I have 7 business cards. We already have in 10 years, we have a therapy appointment already set up.
Well, see, and that's funny because, like you said, each child's different.
Yeah.
And if it's an issue, my one child, she goes to a counselor. And I'm like, do you ever talk about that interracial adoption thing? Is that... No. She goes, I never thought about it. I don't have a problem with that. I'm like, okay.
Well, and I think
You know what
sometimes
I mean? So it's like, you just don't know if they have issue or not with it. And in her case, she's like, no,
Well, it's kind of like our parents' generation, right? We're like mixed race couples were like such a big deal. But like now, it's like so kind of normal that she's probably not even going to think twice about it. But you guys are hyper focused on it because
you want your child to be okay.
we do.
Yeah. And I think that's where it comes from. Yeah, you just want the best for her.
Mm-hmm. Is there any advice that you would give someone looking into adoption? Like, what would be maybe your one piece of advice if you could narrow it down?
I don't really know.
Nate, do you have any advice?
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I don't know.
I think if I had to say anything, like it may seem like the end of the world and so daunting, and it's really not. It's just the step you're in right now.
Yeah.
Just breathe, take it a step at a time. There's tons of people out there to help you, and you'll get there. You'll get where you want to go. You just got to keep going. So
yeah.
But it's just at the time when we were in the process, like it felt like the weight of the world was on us.
Yeah.
And coming down on us. And looking back, it's just where we were at in life at that point.
Yeah.
And when they placed her in your arms, you're like, oh, I would do that 1,000,000 times if I could get this result.
She scared me. It's just time I held her, she scared me. I had an instant obsession.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Like, it's so dumb. You guys are going to all make fun of me for this. She used to make me go watch all the Twilight movies with her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they talk about imprinting.
Oh, you really?
Oh my gosh. The second I saw Holland, I instantly freaked out.
Oh my gosh.
Instantly.
So,
obsessed with
come on, really? That's good, though.
You should make her a little t-shirt with like a wolf hand print.
I should.
No, you just told me to.
That's imprint.
Yeah. I told you, you're going to make fun of me. It's Dorothy. Right?
I'm serious. I am.
But I always thought the movies were dumb. I'm like, that's so lame. And then when I saw her, I was like, oh, get it.
Yeah.
You're like, Edward was right.
Yeah. We're team
Or Jacob.
Team
Sorry, Jacob was right.
Jacob was right. Jacob was right. I imprinted.
No, but you do.
Good, though.
And I think that's
a good thing, though.
I think that's that's why you it was meant to be that way so that you are protective of your child.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't imprint on the child, you'd be like, I don't care. Like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't imprint on my son. I didn't. No, he was a little goblin. And I mean, I loved him and wanted him to do right. And it was kind of cool being like, oh, that's my boy, you know. Like, but no, I did not have that instant connection with him like I did with her.
yeah.
The daddy's little girl wrapped around his that
instant.
saw you.
I don't think I held her for the first 8 hours. I think I just stared at her.
Oh, really?
I was so obsessed with her, and that scared me.
Yeah. Okay.
Just every move she made, every like little teeny.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was also fearful that like the papers hadn't been signed yet as well, right?
You didn't want to
And I was so scared of how attached I already was to her.
Yeah.
That
if you
there was still time for it to change.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out.
That's probably the scariest part of the whole thing.
That is the hard. And then the 6 months. So with adopted families, we always say there's the 6 months until you go to court and it's changed. But really in that time, the birth mom doesn't have the time to come back and change her mind.
Right.
But I think in my mind, when that 6 months was up, I was like, yes, okay, I can breathe a little.
Yeah.
You know, even though they tell us it's all okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
But I think in the mind, you're like thinking, no, I got to get to the 6 months and then I don't have to worry about it.
and I do think there's like less than 1% of birth moms who probably come back. Because when I got home, like no thought in my mind ever was like, I'm going to go get him back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I like made a mistake.
Yeah.
Like,
it has to be, it has to be a very small.
I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever fretted about the 6 months either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just that 24
Yeah.
24 once you relinquished.
But so, are you ready to get this signed? Or?
And especially, too, because I was like, okay, she was born at this time. It's been 24 hours.
He's like, it is 6:01.
Yeah, I was like,
where are we signing the papers?
And it was like hour 26 if the papers got signed. Like, it's 2 extra hours.
He's like, you should pay me for this. I'm just kidding. You're giving me your baby, so it's fine.
It was done. It was a weight off her shoulder.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Then you're like, okay, now I can really attach. And I'm not letting go.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not
That's
putting her in
what
car
happened,
seat when we go out. I'm holding her, but they won't let you.
And then we got her home and we're like, oh, cool. What do we do next? All that build up.
You're like, do we?
To do what now?
I know.
Yeah.
I remember when Landon was first born, I literally I wouldn't sleep for like the first 2 weeks because I just stared at him. and like him breathing and him doing these
Yeah, because
little
you're like freaking out though.
like,
Are they breathing?
yes. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, he's not breathing. He's not breathing. He's not breathing. I'd just stare at him. Unless he was crying, then I'd yell at him.
Shut up. No.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we also didn't have anything because I wouldn't let anyone throw me a baby shower because I didn't want to have all
Jinx
this
it.
stuff. And then, yeah.
you did it after though.
We did, so after, but
Yeah,
when, like when we brought her home, so we didn't have that
you
until
didn't
she
have
was like
anything.
3 weeks old.
So the time from the day we were selected to the day she was born was 8 days.
Okay, so you had
We
nothing.
didn't even have a single binky.
Did you buy anything yourself?
On the
Maybe-
then we got her
maybe some
home. I think
necessities.
I just sent you to.
Yeah. Because the other problem
Get
too
diapers.
is we were in the process of building a home. So we had sold our home, lived in a 1-bedroom apartment
Oh, so you're in between.
with a Great Dane
Oh my gosh.
while our home was being built. So yeah, we had this newborn and a Great Dane in this itty bitty little spot, but we didn't have anything. And we didn't have the space to go out and buy tons of stuff
Yeah.
either. So.
Yeah.
So where did she sleep?
In our room in a bassinet.
My mom used a drawer at one point for one of my brothers. So for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Like you just
She literally, yeah.
be so scared that it would like tip over or something.
Well, you have to take the drawer out. You don't leave it in the dresser.
It's not like you close it. Like, go to bed.
Can we edit that part out? Like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be like, it's like Jessica Simpson, but the tuna of this year, whatever. Oh my gosh, you guys, stop it.
I'm sorry.
That was I haven't had an airhead moment like that in a long time.
I'm like, you literally take the drawer out and just set it.
That would make more sense, right? Than leaving them in there when it's still attached. I just see a lot of old photos.
It's all creaked.
No, I've seen a lot of old photos of like people sleeping in drawers when the drawers were still attached. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah, no. I mean, it might make it convenient if you don't want to hear the baby crying. You just like,
Oh my gosh, that's so terrible. But also, I've heard babies cry sometimes, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're like, that's why they give all the things like, don't shake the baby, don't do it.
Yeah.
And one of our friends was like, we were so delirious, we got home, and we were like, wait, did they say to shake the baby or not shake? Like, I don't remember. What do we do? Of course, you have Google, so it well works out.
Now, yeah, you have Google.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in and talking with us. Hopefully, it wasn't as nerve-wracking as it was. I mean, I'm sweating, so if that makes you feel any better.
It's hot in here.
It's hot in here, yeah. So if you or anyone you know is interested in adoptions, please visit our website at www.aactiveloveadoptions.com.